My next guest says the United States is in dire need of a grand coalition government that would put an end to political infighting and address the real needs of the American people. Lanny Davis is the former special counsel to President Clinton, author of this brand new important book, Scandal: How Gotcha Politics is Destroying America. Lanny, first, good to have you here.
Thank you, Lou. Pleasure to be here.
The idea, before we go to your idea of a solution, both parties, as you document, absolutely guilty of some of the most, in my opinion, poisonous, nefarious attacks and strategies that they carry out and call themselves professional politicians. Do you really believe that there is any end to this in sight?
It starts with recognizing our individual responsibilities of what you just said. And as I wrote the book, I actually gained insight into how bad we Democrats were before the Republicans played gotcha in the 90s. It started right after Watergate, when we Democrats invented the Independent Counsel.
Right.
And then we misused it in the 80s against figures in the Reagan and Bush administrations who were innocent men and women who were driven out of town on innuendo. Then, of course, the Republicans played gotcha when it was Bill Clinton in the White House.
Right.
And I do think that the cycle has gotten to the point where it's so bad that the American people are ready to revolt against it, and that's why I look for a solution.
You're obviously most familiar with those attacks on Mr. Clinton. You also document your period in Washington in earlier times. But Ed Meese, for example, the Attorney General, who
great example,
is a great example that you put out. There are people to this day who think he was just a terrible person and have no concept of the reality of the case or its ultimate conclusion.
Look, Burt Lance, driven out of town in disgrace, ultimately tried and acquitted. Ed Meese, charged, accused, smeared, never convicted of anything. And Raymond Donovan,
right. 3
independent counsels, we Democrats put him through. Finally, he's tried in the Bronx and acquitted after 30 minutes, and he was congratulated in the famous line, "Thank you, where do I go to get my good name back?" That's one of the things that caused me to write this book, is that cycle of destroying people rather than debating the issues, which you do on this program, I must say. Debating issues is a lot different than character assassination, and that's what we have to look to the future, is debate issues rather than the politics of personal destruction.
And Lenny, at a time when the issues are so critically important, at a time when the issues are overwhelming in point of fact in terms of their importance for the future of this country, from the left or the right, from the Republicans or the Democrats, we hear clever political posturing and dissembling, if you will, with as little relevance to the facts as possible, to take a position that offends the fewest possible. We have no real national dialogue going on now. We have, let's take the issue of immigration. I'm not suggesting that you get into that debate. We do that enough. But the idea that national media and the partisans on both sides of the argument want to confuse illegal immigration and immigration. In terms of free trade, they want to suggest there are two choices rather than to look at the subject intelligently and acknowledge the facts. How do we return a vital, healthy marketplace of ideas to our political system?
It's back to the marketplace of ideas. It's back to insisting that politicians stop attacking each other, smearing each other, trying to destroy each other. And let's take immigration. We have not had an up or down vote on legislation about that issue. We haven't had a national debate, Lou. This is probably the only program where you see a national debate on that issue. We don't debate issues anymore. We attack and destroy.
Right.
And that's really what I talk about. In 2008, we may want to take a time out, the way I say to my 8-year-old when he has a tantrum, on hyper-partisanship, and actually get a Democrat and a Republican to combine together, maybe in the same presidency, and for one 4-year period, let's solve problems rather than destroying one another.
I love your idea of a president from one party, a vice president from another, an evenly divided cabinet representing both parties. The only thing I would offer up is perhaps a huge swath there for independent thinkers as well as the two parties, until we can learn to trust them both, of course, again. I hope we will one day. Lanny Davis, you've written an important book, a terrific book.
Thank you.
It's a big book here, isn't it? It's very large in that screen. It's Scandal: How Gotcha Politics is Destroying America. Lanny Davis, thanks.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you being with us. Wish you all the luck.
And you
in the
keep
world.
up the good work, too.
Thank you, sir.